Hey, folks, welcome back to another episode of the Rich Life Podcast, where we talk about wealth, health, and happiness and a holistic definition of what it means to be rich. Okay, so today, Alina and I are going to talk about a topic that might seem a little unfamiliar to a lot of you type A folks out there and high achievers, and it's the topic of joy. And we're specifically going to talk about the importance of having joy in your life and also the healing power of joy and why high achievers really need it the most.
You can only eat kicking ass, taking names, and achievement for so long.
Exactly. I think a lot of us here, we're dealing with a lot of deadlines, thinking about the next big goal, the next big achievement. It's very easy to have joy become an afterthought, right? Or joy being a reward that we postpone until everything else is done. But we want to talk about this topic and reframe joy as not something that is just a bonus at the end of a race, but what if it's actually fuel that makes the race sustainable and enjoyable in the first place? Right? What if we think about joy a little bit differently? Right? That if we have it along the way on our journey to whatever we're trying to achieve, that it'll actually make it easier to get to our goals. Right? For a lot of type A folks, the idea to pause, to embrace joy, oftentimes feels like a waste of time, feel unproductive or even indulgent. But oftentimes, it's precisely the absence of joy that leads to burnout, disconnection, depression, and a lack of the sense of fulfillment. This something is just innately missing. Right?
Yeah, I think it's, if anything, you're looking for the motivation to do it. Think of it like eating healthy, you get more energy out of it. In this way, if you acknowledge and take in the joy, you may get more motivated and more good vibes and good feelings to get more output.
Yeah. We figured we'd talk about what exactly is joy. Right? What is it really? So joy isn't the same as pleasure or temporary satisfaction. Joy is, by definition, a moment of being present and also being delighted. There's a sense of lightness and play to it. And there's also an experience of wonder, of awe, or some sort of connection. So ways that you can experience joy are you can get joy from laughter, music, being out in nature, or just playing. It can come in the form of spontaneously playing or dancing with your kids, watching the sunrise, or just sharing a quiet moment with your friend or significant other. Joy isn't the same thing as happiness. Happiness oftentimes depends on circumstances, but joy is more about a state of being.
Is it like gratitude then?
Yeah, gratitude. Oftentimes that also involves a sense of being present in the moment, really taking in what's there in front of you, right? So there's definitely commonalities with joy.
What about play?
Yeah, so when you're playing, oftentimes you're in the moment, right? So
Yeah.
letting go, you're free to laugh. There's a spontaneity to it, right? A bit of an unpredictability, which lends itself to just being a light moment. Play, especially when we're playing at something we're not particularly good at, that might be better than something that we know we're supposed to be good at because it takes the pressure off. And so that we can really just be in the moment and enjoy it for what it is rather than having to worry about some sort of performative aspect or having an achievement-oriented mindset. Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you say out of those is joy more aligned with then?
Of which ones that you mentioned?
Play, that concept of play, gratitude,
Now,
happiness.
if you're not experiencing joy, if you're playing. Yeah. Yeah. And then going back to what we were just talking about, it's like oftentimes, I'll just take tennis, for example, right? Oftentimes, a couple people who are like really bad at tennis, they're just picking it up for the first time. They're out there just having fun. There's no pressure. They know that the ball's just going to fly. They're going to just be chasing balls left and right. Oftentimes, they're having just as much fun, if not more fun, than people who are actually playing at a high level, right? Who might be playing more competitively or they might be in a match, right? So oftentimes it's good to do some stuff that we're not particularly good at and just be in the moment and don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah. Drinking beers, playing golf. If you're a golfer,
Yeah,
right? I'm not really trying to score, way to
exactly.
hang out.
Yeah. All right. So we want to talk about why is joy so powerful. And so from a health and neuroscience perspective, joy actually has profound benefits. Firstly, when you're in a state of joy, this increases your dopamine and oxytocin levels. This will help you to improve your mood and relationships. Joy also lowers your cortisol level, which reduces chronic stress and makes you less prone to illnesses. Joy also boosts the immune function of your body, and it also improves your brain plasticity, which helps with your memory and also your emotional resilience. So, in other words, joy is not fluff. It's actually a healing state, and it rebalances your nervous system, restores energy for you, and reconnects you to your deeper self. So, all these are really important things, especially for high achievers. So let's talk about what steals joy from high achievers. So, the first one is over identification with productivity, right? So, oftentimes you see a lot of high achievers have this mindset of, I can take a break when the work is done, or I'll celebrate after I hit my next goal, or I'll have fun when I get to my vacation a couple months from now. Then I can relax and play.
Yeah, you don't even want to take the time off to play golf.
Yeah. The problem for a lot of high achievers is, I think a lot of people this will resonate with, is that the work is never done. Right? High achievers oftentimes move the finish line. So once you achieve that goal, you quickly set your sights on the next target. Right? Any satisfaction, any happiness you get from achieving that is oftentimes, what I want to see is, it's oftentimes fleeting. You have your sights set on the bigger and better things. Oftentimes, joy becomes something that is actually perpetually deferred. Second reason how joy can be stolen from high achievers is emotional suppression. So a lot of very driven individuals almost learned to keep their emotions in check, right? We oftentimes see that our emotions might be something that actually get in the way of making the best decisions for our business and from being as productive as we can. Third reason is the fear of losing control, because joy, as we talked about earlier with play, oftentimes requires openness and vulnerability. And so for those of us who are used to being in control, being playful can actually feel very risky because there's an unpredictability to playfulness, right? And so this is very difficult for those who place a lot of emphasis on controlling everything. And lastly, it's comparison and this culture of hyper competition, right? When we see others work and do more, oftentimes I can make joy feel like laziness. And then depending on what we see on our social media feeds, it can reinforce the idea that only output and results is what matters most. Everything else is secondary.
Yeah, so some things that was coming to mind is I have a pool table. I have so much crap on it, so I don't play it. But that is busy. You don't want to play. I think if calling myself out, if I were to start playing on there, it would be to get better, hone a skill. So it definitely would be more of an achiever than angle toward it. I wouldn't just be knocking balls around. I think,
Yeah.
I don't know if I can detach myself from something like that. Maybe I could do golf like that and walking in a park.
Yeah.
Certainly, like playing with kids, unless I want to beat them at a sport that I'm good at, is generally joy and play, right? Because there's absolutely no attachment to the outcome or the process of honing a skill is
Yeah.
what I'm distilling here.
Yeah. That's funny. I feel the same way about pool. When I'm playing pool, I feel like, okay, I know what to do. It's a lot of geometry and angles. And so I'm like, okay, hit the ball at this angle so that it makes contact here so that the target ball will go in this direction. But oftentimes the execution is a little bit off.
I think where really lines joy up, and maybe it's part of the reason why pickleball has been so popular, because it's not incredibly exercise or movement dependent. So it's not, oh, I'm more athletic than you. It's not really the case. It's just reactions, if anything. It leads to just a lot of play and joy.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to pick up for all
Yeah.
age groups. And then you also have the social component too. You got usually three other people on the court. If you're playing doubles, you get to laugh at each other's mistakes and you're close enough to where you can actually talk to one another. Yeah.
What about when you were a kid? You used to play a lot of video games?
Yeah, I didn't really.
Not allowed in the house.
Yeah, it seemed, yes, to be getting in the way of more productive endeavors.
So back then, we're talking NES times, the games were not complicated at all, and you couldn't save or build up a character. So those would line up to be more just to play. playing for the joy of it.
Yeah.
I think today games are so intricate and there's a save component of it that they may not be as much lined up for joy. But I can
Yeah.
recall playing one game on PlayStation, a more modern game. There was no save component, there was no building up your ship or anything, but it was
Mhm.
like this speed, those speed turbo boats
Yeah.
racing.
Yeah.
And I thought it was pretty fun. It was like stupid, really good graphics, just a light gameplay.
Yeah.
That was a lot of joy in that game, much more than like a Tetris or RPG or sports
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah. But maybe, I don't know, maybe you might want to try it, man. You got the disposable income and go buy an Xbox and maybe ChatGPT. What are the most like trivial games that will bring me joy that I can't build up my character?
Yeah.
Play just to play.
Gosh. Oh, the ironic thing is, I actually got an Xbox for my kids. Yeah. Too many other things to do.
Yeah, you never played video games. So it was never like a nostalgia
Yeah.
thing to you. But I was just thinking if I found out I was gonna die and I just got tired and didn't want to like work on a book or something like that, something more like forever.
Yeah.
I was thinking to myself, like, why don't we just play some video games? But it goes on with kind of what you're talking about here, just playing just to play. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I will tell you one way I'm instilling more joy into my life. And I think I might have mentioned it to you earlier, but I've taken up something that I'm actually pretty bad at, which is dancing. Right now, I'm in a hip hop class with my wife and a couple friends. It's pretty hard, but as long as you don't take yourself too seriously, it's been a lot of fun just figuring out how to get your body to do these movements that I've never ever done before.
There's gonna come a point in time if you do that enough, it's gonna start to become competitive or building a
Mm,
skill where it switches more towards a sport, right?
yeah.
It's because that's the concept of joy is it's a novelty thing.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to grasp it for some reason, but
Yeah.
I know you have things on here like other micro joys or savoring a cup of tea, being aware of what the sun feels, watching your dog stretch, like things, these are small, like things that you're just aware of.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be like always play, right? It can be just having a sense of wonder, or sense of curiosity about things that oftentimes are right in front of us, but we're just too busy, too preoccupied with other things. Just noticing it, like the ray of sun, or watching something funny that your pets are doing, for example. Oftentimes, it's all around us. It's just a matter of what are we focused on.
Yeah. And part of that is no attachment to the outcome.
No
Some point.
attachment, yeah, and just be present. It makes me think of this video I saw of this world famous violinist who is playing on the platform. I think it's like the New York City subway, playing this amazing song. And 99% of the people are just walking by because they're so focused as I got to get to work. But you have this concert violinist there playing this amazing music. And only a couple people are actually present enough to really appreciate what's going on. Yeah. Most other people are just laser focused on getting to the office without realizing that there's something truly amazing like happening in front of them. So
Yeah.
oftentimes we have our blinders on because we're so focused on the tasks that need to be done and on the things that we want to achieve. So ironically, we're trying to achieve joy, but oftentimes we forget that there's joy around us.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to cook, but I notice cooking has a tie to the outcome, right? Because I want to make a good final product. So
Mm,
I guess that doesn't ring the bell for joy. And then I was thinking about hiking. I think hiking is more of a goal oriented with exercise, but I don't know if people have, it used to be a fad with those vibrant soles, the
mhm.
barefoot shoes. You try go hiking, it's dangerous
Yeah.
to hike with that, but you hike barefoot, feeling the
Mm.
rocks, feeling the water. It reminds me of this in a way.
Yeah, I think hiking is actually a really good opportunity to practice being present. When you're going on a hike, it can be easy to just focus on, okay, like the goal is to get to the summit or the turnaround point or to the scenic spot. Right? But oftentimes it's really easy to miss. Oh, wow, there's actually really cool stuff to see along the way, even on the ground, even just the way that the light is going through the leaves, through the branches. And a lot of things, it's not easy to capture with a camera, but when you look at it, it's actually really cool, right? And to be in that moment, like this is really something. Capture it on my camera. I can't take it back with me, but I'm here and this is in front of me. This is really cool.
Yeah, no attachment to the outcome.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Especially nowadays where everyone's all about posting stuff on their social media to show off to others. But a
Yeah,
lot
like
of,
like a merit or souvenir.
but oftentimes, yeah, a lot of this stuff you can't, it's really hard to capture. You got to be there in the moment and just soak it up.
Yeah. Another like fun thing or joy thing is a CrossFit class is very competitive.
Yeah.
But sometimes they do this thing in the beginning of class where you're warming up. Instead of mindlessly running around the block or whatnot, they'll get the big balls out and then we'll roll it like bowling balls into, I don't know, we'll stack something.
Mm.
And as a team, you're supposed to like knock down the pins, like makeshift bowling. But that's something that there's no attachment to the outcome. Yeah, there's a winner, but it's just having fun. And no one's practicing on the weekends, that kind of stuff. But again, I think that's what's hard. Like a lot of these things you do it enough, it turns into a thing. And that's when the joy goes away.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the key oftentimes is how can you avoid that pressure to have to excel at something? This is tough for a lot of type A folks.
Have you ever for once, just as a mental exercise, to think that you had some terminal illness and you just weren't going to be around in 6 months? So if you just live the day like that, or if you're able to live an hour like that, how that might influence, what would you be doing? You may not be cleaning up your house. Who cares about that, right?
Definitely not.
You would just be doing things just to do things. You wouldn't be doing, why would you want to plan ahead, check your spreadsheet, or get better at a skill
Right.
in the future?
Yeah, you want to do something where you're in the moment because you don't have the past, you don't have the future. The only thing you have now is the present. That's the only thing that we have. And so you might as well be in the moment instead of living somewhere that doesn't exist yet.
But for those Uber savers like us,
Yeah.
if there is a future, you prep for that.
Yeah.
How could you not?
Right.
If you're
Yeah. And not to say that we shouldn't be thinking ahead for the future, but it's just something to be mindful of for those of us who are really good at delayed gratification, really good at planning 5, 10 steps ahead. As that oftentimes our biggest blind spot is the one that is right in front of us. Really good at looking down the road and planning for everything. But I speak from also personal experience too, that oftentimes you can forget that. Just take the hiking analogy, like the most beautiful view isn't at the top. It's oftentimes on the path, right? It's oftentimes right now. Yeah. We've all heard this saying that it's about the journey, right? Not the destination. Just remember, it's about the journey.
Yeah, that's just what they say. The loser who didn't get there at the end. I'm just saying what everybody's thinking, right? That's the problem. Everybody thinks it's a competition or it's the race. Those types of things, unfortunately, go by the wayside. But maybe the practical advice is you got to plan in this joy component.
Right.
Let me ask you that. Like, how's, other than the dance, and what are maybe another way that you're incorporating these joy things, I think, or planning for them? I get it. Like, when things come up, it comes up. I get it. But I think a lot of people here need to actively plan it into their schedules.
People are really good at finding joy. I think that's kids. Yeah, kids are just naturally really good at that. And I think as adults, we can learn a lot from them. And so that's something I try to do with my own kids, be present with them and play with them when I can. Just give yourself permission to be a kid again, be silly again, and give yourself permission to, whether it's like losing control and like letting your daughter like tickle you.
That is because a lot of this is new to them.
Yeah.
Just like the dancing thing is new to you, at some point that's going to wear off. Obviously, this stuff is not new to us, right? So that's the challenge here.
Yeah.
If there's a way to add back in the novelty of it, I think that's how you get it back. Because everything else is just, I think there was a guy in San Francisco, he went viral on this like YouTube short or whatever, but he would like take these, he's like making sushi with one grain, like super present. It's so weird too. Yeah. But it was like, he was like looking at everything like it's a novelty. I'm not saying to go that far, but that's essentially what was creating that space for him.
Yeah. It's being able to look at things differently each time with fresh eyes.
Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to your pattern base, you know what's going to happen. And Now you're turning it into sport and
Yeah.
skill building.
Hopefully, this is something for you guys to all think about. I want you guys to just give yourself permission to be lighthearted and just remember that joy it's not a distraction. Right? It's a restoration. Oftentimes, it'll actually make you more productive than if you're not having joy.
I don't have anything that's resonating now with me, but it definitely made me think. And as we say, awareness is the first step. So something will come to us. We'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
It wasn't that long ago when I realized that this was probably the element in my life that I was probably the most lacking. But like you said, awareness is the first step, and then you can start to build things in.
I think you should play video games.
All right.
I'll end with this. I had a buddy who, in growing up, he was not allowed to play video games or watch TV, but he was watching in college. I'd come home. He would never go to class, but I'd come home and he's like watching the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and he's just laughing and pure joy. And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, have you seen this? It's Will Smith over here. Yeah, you mean you haven't seen the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? He's like, no, I've never seen this. This is new to me. Like, he's not like this concept is so wild to him.
Wow.
But it's joy.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
We'll catch you guys on the next episode. I don't know how you guys apply that one, but maybe for those of you guys who do apply it, I think it'll be very impactful.
So, yeah, go out there and find some joy, you guys.